This is GCHS TV News, live from Greenup County High School. And welcome into a special edition of GCHS TV. I'm James Collier, happy to have you along with us. And joining me now is the principal for the high school, Jason Smith. And it's hard to believe after all the planning and stuff throughout the summer, here we are now some couple of days away from the return to school per se. We start virtual on September 8th, but it is one thing. We're excited to get back with our kids, whatever that may be.
Yeah, we spent a good portion of the summer starting in July preparing what school would look like in case of students coming in person, and also doing planning for NTI and also the virtual students. But the last 2 months especially has been packed full of reviewing guidelines from the state and from our local health department and making sure we're following those things as we develop those plans.
Well, one of the things that we have to look at is obviously first day of school this year is going to be a lot different because there's a lot of technicalities, a lot of procedures that we have to make sure we talk with our kids and understand about. Go through a little bit about what our first day of school is going to look like when we return on Tuesday.
Sure. And that's one thing I do want to remind everybody is school does start Tuesday, September the 8th. I know we've had some questions. A lot of folks may be a little confused still about the dates. We're hoping to return kids in person on the 28th. However, we're starting school on Tuesday, September the 8th. A couple things I want to talk about is the difference between our students right now in terms of what school might look like. Let's start with the in-person kids. All of our students were asked to determine which they wanted to do. If we were to open up school back up, do you intend on coming in person? And so we have that group of kids, and then we also have a group of kids that have decided that they want to go to school virtually, at least for the first semester and possibly for the whole year. Our in-person kids, and for that matter, both groups are going to start on Tuesday. Our in-person kids, we're going to begin on NTI, which everybody hears that acronym. It stands for non-traditional instruction. It's a program that's been used throughout our state the last several years. Many districts have used NTI for especially things like snow days, flu outbreaks, flooding. The program has been there, and those districts have utilized that. Greenup County started it in the spring, implementing that program when we had the COVID outbreak. So we're going to continue that, and our in-person kids will begin the year on non-traditional instruction, and they'll have their classes. We're starting school. It's just going to be done digitally. And we'll begin those classes on Tuesday, and our in-person kids will have Google Classrooms. And I know when we had freshman orientation a couple weeks ago, I told the freshman parents, think of a Google Classroom just what it is. It's a classroom. It's just virtual. When you walk into a classroom, there are a desk and a teacher and a board and all those things. Those Google Classrooms that our kids will utilize beginning Tuesday, it's the same thing. There will be a teacher there. There will be assignments posted on the board. Other students will also be in those classes. So it's school, it's just done virtually. On the other hand, we have our kids that are on the virtual track. They will be using something completely different. The last several years we've used a platform called Play-Doh. And we've primarily used it for kids that need to recover credits or need to up their grades a little bit. And it's a great program. All the classes are aligned to the Kentucky State standards. So those kids that choose to stay home, at least for the first semester or possibly even longer, will take those courses through the Play-Doh program. So just want to maybe discuss for a couple minutes the difference between those two groups of students.
I think one of the things, too, to really touch on, I know this is coming from the district level, is the push for the digital platform. No paper packets this year on NTI, and at the same time, everyone is being held to high expectations. If a date's given, an assignment is given, it's expected to be completed.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I know it's maybe a difficult situation for some of our parents and kids that maybe don't have Wi-Fi at home and things of that nature, but our district has gone really above and beyond putting hotspots out in our county. They're going to take some buses that are mobile hotspots and park them throughout the county during the school week. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure kids have access to Wi-Fi. And you know, one of the conversations I had with a parent in the last couple of days, if you get to one of those hot spots, your student can go there for about an hour, download all of their work for the week, and work on it offline. They can still do it from home, and then maybe go back the following Monday and turn all your work in, and you'll get counted for your participation for the week. So,
and
yeah.
one thing to pass along too, there are several businesses out there that have extended Wi-Fi access. That they're saying if you live nearby or you need Wi-Fi, pull in our parking lot. Here's our guest password, and you can log in and use that password as well.
Yeah, I've seen several businesses. I know Farm Bureau up here in Greenup has offered that, and a few others. And I've run across those opportunities on Facebook, so I'd recommend just keeping an eye on Facebook for those.
And it's one of the things, if you have someplace near where you live that you deal with daily, if you need Wi-Fi, talk to them. I'm certain that they can find a way to try to help you out. Again, everything we can possibly do to help out the kids. First, most important thing, we need students to be checking that email before September 8th. They're going to get their invitations to classroom, and that's a little different this year. Typically, we have them in a classroom setting. We put a code on the board, say put this in, and everything's there. Not like that this year.
Yeah, and again, I refer back to freshman orientation. That's one of the things that we discussed with the freshman parents is, have your child check their email, especially on Tuesday, September the 8th. They should get some invitations to 7 classes here at the high school. Every kid has 7 classes. They should get 7 invitations. Once they accept that invitation, they'll be admitted into that classroom. And again, it's just a virtual classroom.
Student schedule changes, we know as we get into school, sometimes schedules doesn't line up, they need to make adjustments. That's still the same opportunity, you just have to contact the counselors virtually now.
Yeah, and our counselors also have a Google Classroom themselves that all of our students should have access to. All they have to do is go into that classroom, and the guidance counselors have the different forms that kids may need. I know schedule changes is one of those. We've done schedule pickups the last few days, and our counselors have been out front doing some schedule changes on the spot as well as students have picked those up. So I think when I talked to Mrs. Lemaster this morning, her herself have done, I think she said 500 schedule changes already.
Yeah, and one of the things too, if you're working with a counselor about a schedule change, please be patient. There's a lot of moving pieces going on for them to make certain not only to get all of our students that's coming back into classrooms those proper schedules, but also making certain that we don't have duplicates with students that have elected to go the virtual side as compared to students that's still in classrooms.
Yeah, last time I checked, our enrollment here at the high school with all students was about 907. And it's the largest that we've been in a while. We have 2 guidance counselors. That's about, give or take, 450 kids for every 1 counselor. So be patient with those ladies. They are extraordinary. They're extraordinarily hardworking. They will help you. Just be patient as they get back with you.
453 and a half to be exact.
Thank you, Mr. Math Teacher.
Let's talk about September 28th. And as the old saying, a lot of people like to say, the good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. We bring kids back in these buildings on September 28th. There's a lot of time between now and that point. And of course, Governor Beshear and any changes or recommendation he makes between now and then. But as of right now, we plan on returning to in-classroom instruction on September 28th. And again, that's going to look a lot different than what it has in the past as well.
Yeah, it sure is. And I know we spent 2, maybe 3 days in the month of July taking a look at the guidelines that the governor and the health department, the Kentucky Department of Education have given us. And we had to develop a plan based on those guidelines. And it took us about 3 days to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. One of the things that school will look like is we'll begin our day as kids arrive. There will be 2 entrances this year. Typically, we've only done 1 entrance. This coming school year, when we do start back on September 28th, fingers are crossed on that, the buses will arrive on the old 23 side, and we'll have some folks there taking temperatures. And we will also document the temperature of that student and keep it, of course, very private. And the drivers and riders will enter at the main entrance that faces Grays Branch Elementary School. So just to spread them out just a bit, we have those 2 entrances. Again, temperature checks will take place at both of those. We have spent a tremendous amount of time doing everything that we can to reduce class size. there's some things that we kind of had to shuffle around a bit. There's been times where we've had to ask teachers to do some things outside their comfort zone in order to reduce class size. One of the things that the Department of Education told us this summer, they basically said we had to get the square footage of every classroom. And based on that square footage, it tells us how many kids could be in a room without a mask. And we went around, measured all of those rooms, got the square footage, and we have a lot of rooms. It took us the better part of a day to do all that, walking around and measuring and calculating and all that stuff, and then it all changed. This past week, we received the recommendation that every person in our building wears a mask all of the time. So that has changed just within the last week or so. So things are still evolving, still changing, but we've worked really hard to get those class sizes down. Lunch and even breakfast are going to change. Breakfast will take place in the classrooms. We'll do really good grab-and-go breakfast. Our lunch ladies are changing up the menu and working really hard to put those things together. Lunch, one of the best parts of this school is kids having the opportunity to interact during lunch. It's 30 minutes where they can socialize and talk to their friends and meet new people and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, things will be different with that. We have to socially distance, and so we've added tables to the gravel pit. We've added tables. We even utilize the gymnasium. So we have to spread those kids out. They have to remain seated during lunch, and so it'll be a little bit of an adjustment, but we'll work really hard to make it happen. Next thing I want to mention is the fact that we have organized our building into one-way hallways. And we'll have arrows down on the floor. As a matter of fact, I spoke to Diane, the custodian, this morning. They're going to start working on those Tuesday next week after the holiday weekend. So kids will know which direction that they can go in the hallways. And what that does is that eliminates kids from crisscrossing each other. So it'll be a really good, safe environment.
And one thing to point out about that too is that you may have to look at your route for getting to your classes, and this was something we were talking about. So if you have Mr. Wilkerson for chemistry and then you have Mr. Jones for math, you can't just shoot straight up the hallway. You're going to have to make a lap.
You're going to have to make a lap.
So you may get your steps in that you don't get in the morning.
Sure. I'm sure we all can use getting in some extra steps, but we'll make it work. Those one-way hallways is just a good safety thing. I'll give Mr. Keaton credit on that. He was the one that sort of came up with that idea and organized it all. But we'll start getting those markers down next week. We've worked really hard this summer on upgrading our facilities for our school nurse. We've got some protocols in place. If a kid's not feeling well, Nurse Brandy's got a much larger room versus what she's had in the past, and we've set up some stations. She's organized it very well. She's gotten some materials in there to make sure that the kids are separated if need be. And we also got her what we're referring to as the well room. So she's got the sick room and she's got the well room. If kids not feeling well, maybe they are showing a symptom or two of this virus that we're all dealing with. Obviously they would be in what we'll call the sick room. The well room it may be somebody got a cut on their finger. Well, you don't want to put those kids in with other kids that aren't feeling well. So we created an additional room for her so she can have both those spaces to better serve our kids and make sure everybody's really safe. Sanitation-wise, there's more sanitizing happening here even right now with school not in session just yet than any place I've ever seen. Our custodians clean, and when they get done cleaning, they come back and they clean again. Every classroom will have supplies. Sanitation supplies with rubber gloves and all those things. Desk will be cleaned between every class. Anything common that kids might touch, whether it be a calculator or a textbook or anything like that, our teachers and custodial staff will have the supplies necessary in order to be able to make sure that everything that kids touch will be sanitized. So we're doing a lot of cleaning right now, and in addition to that, one additional thing in terms of cleaning, at the end of the day, We've pretty much been told by our custodial staff that we need to leave at 3 o'clock every day because they're doing a deep clean. Because us teachers and administrators have been here for the last 3 weeks or so, and so they very politely sort of chase us out at 3 o'clock so they can get in there and do a really good deep clean. And I've said a lot of things about safety and sanitation and all those type of things. What I would like to say, wrapping up that part, is I have zero doubt that this may be one of the cleanest, safest environments that your child could be at. I have a son who will be a senior here this year. I have zero doubts about him coming to school when we open back up. We all have places to go. We all go to the grocery store. We all go to the Walmart type places. I have no doubt that this place is way cleaner, more sanitized than any place that your child may go to on a daily or a weekly basis. So when we start back, this will be a safe environment for them.
And the one thing I think it's important to point out too is that we have to understand our normal is not normal anymore.
Correct.
We are riding a new normal, and we need the students to understand it, the parents to understand it, and as well as us as faculty, we had to learn what a new normal was going to be before we returned to the building.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have a new person in the administration side in our building, our new assistant principal. We'll meet her and learn all about her time through education and how she wound up here at Greenup County High School. That's when we return right after this. And welcome back to GCHS TV, a special edition here. James Collier, happy to have you along with us. Joined now with one of our new assistant principals at Greenup County High School, Miranda Pack. And first off, welcome to Greenup County High School.
Thanks. I'm really
let's,
enjoying it.
Let's talk about your time through education. Where did you start, and kind of take me through the path that brought you to the high school?
Okay, well, my very first year of teaching was at Mountain Christian Academy in Floyd County, Kentucky. I grew up in Johnson County, and Floyd County that school was about 30 minutes from where I grew up. And then I came here the next year, and I have been at Grays Branch Elementary for 16 years. So I've had 17 years of teaching, and then this job came available, and it was offered to me, and I accepted, and I really am enjoying being here.
What lured you away from the classroom into the education side of administration, and when you look at, obviously the kids, they're much bigger now. You go from elementary to high schoolers. Tell me about the differences that you see there as well.
Well, I have had a desire for a while to be on the administration side. I was ready for a change, and this job kind of lured me in. And as far as the kids go, I haven't really seen any of them just yet. But a lot of those kids I've probably had in class over the years. And everybody says that high school is a different challenge, but they're a lot of fun. And it excited me, and I think it's going to be a really nice, good change.
That you speak of the challenges that you see there. Of obviously, you've been around the program for a long time, being at Grays Branch and now at the high school. You know a lot of these kids. How much do you think that helps you of being able to settle in once we get kids back in the building, of being familiar with who's actually here?
Well, I think that's going to make things a little easier. I mean, I'm very positive on relationship building. I think that's highly important in being able to get students to be successful. And I feel like I'm a very good relationship builder with children, and especially the ones that I've already known, I've already had in class. I already know their backgrounds, and we live in a somewhat of a rural community, so basically they've all been raised very similar, and it's going to be a little easier, I think, to build those relationships with those kids because they all sort of have the same somewhat background.
For you, very short time displaced from a classroom, how do you think that helps you in the job that you'll be doing as an assistant principal of being able to get in those classrooms and do those observations and helping those teachers out, especially a lot of new teachers that we have coming in the building this year?
Well, last year I taught, so I've only been out of the classroom for just 3 or 4 months. Even during NTI, I was still teaching, and so I know the initiatives. I know the challenges that they face, and I know that I can give them what they need because I just did it just a while back. So I know that I have that ability and the desire to help them, give them the help that they need, that they want, and I want them to feel comfortable to come to me and say, "Miss Pack, I need help," or "What do you think about this?" And students too. I want to be there. I want to be present for the students and the teachers.
If you had to pick one goal that you set forth for yourself this year, what would that one goal be that you want to try to accomplish before the end of the 2021 school year?
I want to lead by example. One of my very favorite people in this world, her name is Bobby Hood, she taught me that to be the best leader that you can be, you should never ask someone to do something you're not willing to do yourself. And there's nothing that I would ask somebody to do, student or staff member, to do that I wouldn't do myself. And I want them to be successful, and to be successful, they have to know that they have a leader or leaders. Mr. Keaton and Mr. Smith are both good leaders as well, and they have to know that they have leaders who are going to be there to support them, and I definitely want people to know that I do support them.
Let's talk about your family. You're married to a gentleman I found out that I didn't realize that I knew so
Yeah.
well. How does the green and gold work so well when we go home and it clashes with the orange and black of Raceland? Tell me a bit about your family, your husband, and that you have.
Well, my husband is Seth Pack, and everybody on this planet that I've talked to knows his dad, Odell Pack. And when I go home, I told him, or maybe I told somebody, I think it was Seth, I said, I'm going to have to get a t-shirt made that's half green, half orange.
House divided.
House divided. But he's very supportive. I know when I was offered this job, I told Mr. Smith and Mr. Keaton I had to just go home and discuss it with Seth before I could say yes or no. And they were very supportive of that. So whenever I called to tell him that I had been offered the job, he said, well, do whatever you want because I'll support you in any way that I need to. So he's a very supportive husband. He's a good guy, and I'm lucky to have him.
Yeah, I actually spent some years coaching with Seth at Raceland when I was still coaching there.
Really?
So I know him from the field very well, and Seth and we've shared some fun times together. He's a great guy. So
he is. He's a pretty good husband. I can't complain.
Great. We certainly look forward to having you aboard. Welcome aboard at Greenup County High School, and we look forward to working with you this year and many years to come.
Well, thanks. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really excited to work with the kids and continue working with everybody I've already worked with. So.
Very good.
Thanks.
Well, speaking of athletics, we'll transition over to that. Athletics, they're going to look a lot different this year as well. We'll talk about that when we return right after this here on GCHS TV. Back here on GCHS TV, James Collier joined with Principal of the high school, Jason Smith, and we've talked about education side. Of course, one of the big topics over the last month and a half has obviously been athletics, and as of right now, everything is a go. We're going to try to start playing athletics. We're about a week away from football season starting. Volleyball is starting up this week as well, but at the thing that we have to look at the most, there are several new guidelines and directives that we must follow from the participants all the way to the people who are coming to the games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a list here in front of me, and we'll share and discuss as we move along. But, you know, one thing I want everybody to be aware of is the guidelines that have been developed have been done collaboratively. As a matter of fact, this past Tuesday, myself, our new athletic director, Sam Sparks, and some folks from our district office, Superintendent Tracy Moracy, we all sat down with our athletic trainer, Amy Crum, and we took a look at the guidelines that we've gotten from the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, and we developed a plan and met with the health department to make sure that our plan was where it needed to be. And the first thing I have on my list that I'd like to share with everybody is we are required to take temperatures at the gate, and any person with a temperature of 100.4 or higher, we cannot allow to be admitted to the facility. So that's the first rule, and I think the plan right now, especially on the football side of things, is to have 3 gates. We're fortunate enough to have that here at Greenup County and spread some folks out. But we're working on those details as we get ready for next Friday night. The next item that I also want to share is it has been given to us through those guidelines that every person that is in our facility has to wear a mask at all times. That's fans, folks that are working the game, so on and so forth. So be sure if you come to the football game next Friday night, or you come to our soccer game Tuesday, volleyball's next week as well, make sure you have your mask with you. Spectators have to be socially distanced at all times. Now, we understand that there's times where you may have, for example, a family of 4. It's okay. That family lives together in the same household. It's okay for that family to not be socially distanced, but that family needs to socially distance from everyone else. So we're going to make sure that everything's marked off so everyone is aware of what the proper distances are. Next thing that we need to mention in terms of especially football is we cannot allow any tailgating. You know, that's kind of a congregating of people, and that's one of those things that our state kind of frowns upon just a bit. Also want to add the fact that admission price for all events will be $5 this year. It's a little bit of a change. We're limiting the amount of spectators that can come, which I know, and it's not a very popular thing to say sometimes, but it does impact our athletic department financially. In the past, we've charged $3 for students. So we're making that change. It'll be $5 for everyone, adults and students. We can't accept any passes of any type. You know, I know we've had senior citizen passes in the past. We have coaches' cards. Coaches come from other schools to scout and things like that. We can't accept those cards because we're capped on how many people that can be in our facility. Do want to talk specifically about soccer and volleyball for just a moment. When it comes to those 2 athletic events, tickets will be sold at the gate. I know we looked, we don't anticipate, you know, we have a gym that holds 4,000 people. So volleyball, we don't think that we're going to have any issues with our capacity. Soccer, on the other hand, we have taken every set of bleachers, outdoor bleachers that we have here at our facility, and taken them all to soccer. We've taken them away from the baseball field and the softball field and so on and so forth. They're all at the soccer field right now. Still have to practice that social distancing. Our soccer fans a lot of times bring lawn chairs. That's fine. Still got to do 6 feet. But we're capped, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I hope this is accurate since I'm saying it in this recorded opportunity here, but I think it's 400 fans, if I remember right. But those tickets for those 2, soccer and volleyball, will be sold at the gate, and we'll open up that gate 1 hour prior to the game. for home and away football games. All tickets are pre-sold. I want to make sure I emphasize that. Home and away football tickets will be pre-sold at the front office of Greenup County High School from noon to 2 on Wednesday through Friday of each week. Our football facility is capped according to the health department, and we have the state fire marshal here this week. They went out and did the measuring, but our football facility is capped at 2,000. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and I hope everybody understands. I say the number 2,000. Here's what that really means. We also have to count participants, which is all of our players. For example, could also be cheerleaders. The folks that keep our scoreboard, do our public address, on the intercom out there. The chain gang, if they are a person and they walk through the gate, they count against that 2,000 total. So what we have done and what's been recommended by the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, and this is something that all schools will do. I want everybody to understand that. But for example, we play Raceland in football, and we're anticipating having somewhere around 250 participants, workers, players, the whole 9 yards. What has been recommended to us is we take that 250 off the visitors' ticket allotment. We want as many of our fans here because it's our venue, it's our event, it's our kids in our community. So that's what's been recommended to us. So for example, if our visitor bleachers spaced out 6 feet, hold 1,000 people, we'll take 250 off the top of the visitors, and they'll be allowed to have 750 because we have to use that 250 number. Multiple entrances I mentioned just a few moments ago, and the last thing on my list that I need to share is the gates will open for football games at 5 p.m. So again, it's a collaborative effort from the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, our health department. Like I said, the state fire marshal was here this week. We have these guidelines that are given to us. We have to follow them. We wish things were normal. We wish we could sell as many tickets as we possibly could and pack our stands and have those packed stands cheering for our kids. But right now, these are the things that we've been given from the state, and we have to follow them. And there's been a lot of thought and a lot of work put into these plans. So we hope everything goes well, and we want to take the opportunity to share those today.
And one thing to point out too for the fans that perhaps you want to come to a game and you don't feel like that you're safe because of the restrictions, or you have elderly in your family that cannot come out, there are ways that they can view these games. So all home football games and volleyball games are going to be streamed on the NFHS network. All football games will also have the audio from Cool Hits, which is the radio station that takes care of all of our Greenup County home football games as well. So you can go to the NFHS network and you can buy a subscription and watch this from the comfort of your home. And it's great quality. It'll give you an opportunity to see what's going on, and plus be able to hear about the game as it plays along as well. So that's something we added this year. We're looking at obviously if those two things work, expanding that to the rest of our athletic departments. But as of right now, that takes care of football and all of our indoor sports that we have these availabilities for those fans that cannot make it in due to either we've sold out of tickets or they just simply don't want to come out and get into an opportunity of possibly being exposed when they don't want to be.
Yeah, and I'll give Sam Sparks, our athletic director, credit. He had that idea before these guidelines even came out. A lot of good forethought on his part in terms of being prepared. The cameras have been set up, and you mentioned the website that those will be streamed through. I'm pretty sure that they can find that link on the Kentucky High School Athletic Association website.
And you'll have a picture on your screen that you can click on. It's got all this information that Scarlett Shoemaker, she shared all this information. You can see that on your screen. You can click on that and go directly to that website. One thing I do want to put is when you sign up, if you sign up for a subscription, make certain that you select your team as Greenup County. That allows you to be able to see anything Greenup County that is being played. And that subscription, you can buy it as a yearly subscription or a monthly subscription, whichever way you want to go.
Yeah, which I thought was just a great opportunity. If you're a huge Greenup sports fan and you want to see all of our indoor sports and our football games, buy that yearly subscription, and it does benefit the school just a bit. It'll help us to recoup some of the costs from putting those cameras in place the first couple of years, but eventually it'll support your school. So we're excited about that opportunity.
Well, we're excited for the return to school virtually and hopefully in class very soon, as well as the return to some athletics and some form of what we're going to call our new normal coming up very, very soon. Principal Jason Smith, thank you so much for joining us. A big thank you to some people behind the scenes with Brandy, our nurse here at this. She didn't want to be, she was camera shy.
Brandy was a little camera shy today, but
we gave her a pass.
We gave her a pass.
And a big thanks to our new assistant principal, Miranda Pack, for joining us here. That'll do it for this edition of GCHS TV. Be certain to subscribe to our channel to keep up with all the latest going on around Greenup County. For Miranda Pack and Jason Smith, I'm James Carr. Thanks for tuning in.